Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. It's been a while, but we are back. The Premier League is back. A special midweek edition this week. We've had to endure the international break. We had to sit back and watch the FA Cup take centre stage this past weekend. But Premier League action is back on the cards for this week as the run-in to the season now begins. The final 9 games or so are about to get underway, and we've got an incredible lineup this week of big Premier League action. Before we get into all of that, though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Get involved in the conversation. Let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling down below. Your thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, your predictions will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure, down there. And without further ado, we'll get on with the video, shall we? We'll get on with the conversation and topic at hand of the Premier League games that are coming up this week. And we're going to start off with Arsenal taking on Fulham. And I've gone 2-0 to the Gunners. Before the international break, Arsenal closed the gap on Liverpool to 12 points at the top of the table. It's going to be a massive game, this one. A London derby of sorts. A game that Arsenal have found pretty tricky to navigate past in recent times. Fulham are a bit of a bogey side for them. But I think despite that, I think the extra game in the legs of those Fulham players this past weekend in the FA Cup may play to Arsenal's advantage. I think as well maybe the return of a certain Bukayo Saka may also give Arsenal a big and much needed boost as they look to try and hunt down Liverpool with every step of the way that is left in the Premier League title race. I'm anticipating Arsenal to navigate past a very tricky opponent that we know that they've struggled against in the past. I'm expecting them to put some pressure on Liverpool before they play on Wednesday night. I'm anticipating that Arsenal will win this game by 2-0. Next up, big game between Wolves and West Ham for us to look at next at Molineux. Two teams that are somewhat safe away from the drop zone. Wolves will obviously want to put more distance between themselves and the drop zone with a win here, whilst West Ham will want to continue their progression under their new manager of Graham Potter. Either way, I think the pressure's a little bit off. I think the relegation battle already has its writing on the wall. Not to say that it's like completely a foregone conclusion, but it pretty much is, unfortunately. But at the same time, I still would expect it to be an interesting battle, this one. But one that I haven't really got my hopes on that is going to be like notorious this week. I think given the magnitude of some of the other games around it, it's probably going to go a little bit under the radar. And especially with both teams pretty much being safe and sound, doesn't really feel like there's much jeopardy to this game. But either way, I'm still anticipating a decent game, and I'm going 2-2, goals galore in this one between these two sides. Next up, Nottingham Forest taking on Manchester United. Now, I've gone 1-1 for this one. I think if I had to pick a winner, I would probably go for Forest. I think they are just more defensively solid and disciplined, and I think that attacking-wise, they of course have some really dangerous threats going forward. The likes of Alanga on one side, Hudson-Odoi on the other, Gibbs White pulling the strings, and of course Chris Wood getting the goals up front. But I think the game at the weekend, going the distance the way that it did in the FA Cup between themselves and Brighton, may just play its part a little bit. United, we know, are coming along slowly but surely under Ruben Amorim. We know that obviously there are many a problem there that has to be addressed, and it was never going to be that Amorim came in with a magic wand and sorted everything out. But at the same time, I probably would suspect United may get something from this game. I think the extra game, like I say, for Forest may take its toll on them. But of course, Forest themselves have a bit of an incentive in this one. They want to continue to have that stranglehold over the top 4 battle that they have. Nuno Espirito Santo has done a wonderful job this season in terms of getting Forest to where they are right now, to on the verge of being back in the Champions League for next season. So it's going to be a interesting and massive a massive game for Forest as well as it is for United. And of course, a big run into the end of the season as well. I'm going with a 1-1 draw. I'm sticking with my original thought, but I wouldn't be surprised if Forest probably are the slight favourites going into this one. Get the win in this game. Next up, Wednesday night we'll see Bournemouth take on Ipswich, and I've gone with a 3-1 victory to the Cherries. Again, at the time of recording, we are a matter of an hour or two away from Bournemouth's FA Cup game against Manchester City. So maybe again the extra minutes in the legs of those players could play into Ipswich's hands. However, Ipswich definitely need a win if they are to try and pull off any sort of question of a great escape from the relegation zone that they currently find themselves in. But they are coming up against a very difficult, very tricky side in Bournemouth. We know that Andoni Iraola has done wonderful this season with the Cherries. It's been difficult. They've had their fair share of injury problems and other issues as well. But they've managed to navigate themselves around it very, very well for the most part. I think the international break came at a perfect time to rest, recover, and just get back to the drawing board a little bit for them as the run into the season is set to begin. And of course they find themselves in a favourable game against a relegation battling side. Of course, for Bournemouth themselves, they are in amongst this really big battle for some form of European football next season. They are right in the thick of it. They've got a good opportunity to achieve some form of European football for next season. So, of course, there is an incentive there for them to continue the good work that they've done at the beginning of this campaign. So, it's going to be an interesting battle. It's going to be an interesting battle for both these teams that are battling for something, but one that I see the quality of Bournemouth shining through, and I think the Cherries will get the win that they so desire. Next up, Brighton against Aston Villa. When you talk about two teams that are in the thick of a European footballing battle right now, these two teams are very much in it. Villa, Brighton, two teams battling it out for some form of European football for next season. Could be a big battle, this one. On paper, looks to be exciting, and I'm hoping that transpires on the pitch as well. I'm hoping for a bit of a goals galore type of feel to it. A game in which either side could go on and win. We know how good these two sides are on paper. Hopefully it transpires on the pitch. And one that I think could go a little bit under the radar this week. I know there are other big games going off around about the same time and across the week as well. But I'm looking forward to this one. I really much am looking forward to this one. Two teams battle hard. Two teams play some good football at times. And two teams that are battling it out for some form of European football for next season. I'm going 2-2. I know Brighton come into this one in very good form. Outside of obviously their defeat on penalties at the weekend. But yes, I can't really separate them. This one could go any which way. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how that does transpire this week. Next up, the Etihad awaits the arrival of an old enemy in Ruud van Nistelrooy as he takes his Leicester City side to take on Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in a more favourable game to predict, I believe, this week. This should have a City win written all over it. I know it's not exactly been the ideal season for City, but this one should be a very comfortable and very favourable game to win. City 4, Leicester 1. That's what I've gone for here. I know City tend to concede very stupid goals at times, so I'm anticipating that, and especially when you consider earlier on in the season when these two teams clashed, it was really a battle of the quality of finishing. And with that being said, City's quality of finishing was much better than Leicester's. Leicester did create a few opportunities, but just didn't have the quality in front of goal to stick those chances away. City, again, they do. And I think Erling Haaland will be licking his lips at the prospect of maybe trying to catch Mo Salah at the top of the goal-scoring charts to try and obviously defend his golden boot for this season. Could be a bit of a bloodbath, this one. Could be a bit of a bloodbath if obviously City take their chance in the final third if they make the right decisions. I'm anticipating Manchester City to win and Leicester City to lose. And obviously that would then mean that City's stranglehold on the top four will get stronger, and ultimately Leicester's stranglehold on the relegation battle will seem a bit more inevitable than it already seems to be. So, yeah, two teams battling it out at either ends of the table, and one that I see the Manchester City winning rather than the Leicester City winning. So, I'm going with City to win. Next up, a battle at St James's Park between Newcastle and Brentford, and I'm going with the Carabao Cup champions to capitalise on their victory with a 3-2 victory over Brentford. Now, this has all got all the makings of a very exciting game in prospect. We know about Newcastle's squad and how good they are, but we also know that Brentford on their day can be very difficult opposition for anybody. And even with the 1-2 punch that they have up front of Brian Mbeumo and Johan Visser, they can be difficult for anybody to contend with. However, Newcastle are again another team in the thick of that battle for European football for next season. Newcastle are a team excuse me, that are still riding high off of that incredible Carabao Cup triumph against Liverpool, at Wembley a couple of weeks ago, and I anticipate that they will take that confidence that they got from winning that trophy, they will take the joy and the jubilation, and they will continue. And it will be an end to the season that they have the bit between their teeth with. They have the incentive to go on and do something incredible with, because they could very well get Champions League football for next season. They very well could give the end of this season a really good go. Like I say, they could get Champions League football for next season and play at the top tier of club football again, and give their fans much needed belief that they are heading in the right direction, not just in terms with silverware, but in terms of being where they so desire with Champions League football. Like I say, they've got a good game here. It's not going to be easy for them because Brentford never make it easy, but at the same time it's going to be a very interesting battle. One that I'm expecting goals galore, one that I'm anticipating could be a very exciting game, but one ultimately that I'm expecting that with the likes of Tonali and Guimarães and Joe Linton in midfield, and of course with Alexander Isak leading the line, one that I'm anticipating that Newcastle will get the job done with. So I'm going 3-2 to Newcastle, and I'm saying that they will get the 3 points. Next up, Southampton take on Crystal Palace. A Crystal Palace side who, away from home, are a very good and decent outfit. They've got the best defensive record away from home, have Crystal Palace. So that doesn't exactly spring well for a Southampton side that are staring down the barrel of relegation. And it's seemingly inevitable that their fate is sealed for this season. Yeah. This one should be one of the more favourable games to call. Even though Palace played at the weekend, even though they've got the extra game in the legs of those players, they'll probably be riding high off of that victory and obviously getting through to an FA Cup semi-final. So it's one that I'm anticipating a very good defence of Palace to help see them through. The return of Jean-Philippe Mateta as well is a welcome addition for Palace. Excuse me. And it's one that I am anticipating Palace to get the job done with. They're continuing their very good work under Oliver Glasner. They haven't exactly had the big fanfare this season, but it is certainly one that has gone slightly under the radar, and that might also benefit teams as well, not having the kind of media attention and fanfare that often having a decent season provides. I still think that Palace are going about their business in a very good way and continuing to build. FA Cup semi-final on the horizon. This is a very favourable game for them to get 3 points in. Keep the momentum going in the legs of those players. Eze's having a fantastic patch of form right now. He is red hot right now, so I'm anticipating him to continue that. Palace to get the job done. I think it's I think it is obviously not as foregone as that, not as simple as that, but I think it is one of the more favourable games for this weekend. So I'm going with a victory for Crystal Palace, and I'm anticipating them to get the job done. Next up, massive London derby, a fierce game between two very fierce rivals. Chelsea versus Tottenham. Stamford Bridge awaits. I think under any other circumstances, this may have been my main event and the biggest highlight of the week, but considering that Chelsea are finding themselves in amidst the European battle right now for European places for next season, and Spurs have got all their eggs in the Europa League basket, there's more jeopardy for one than the other, really. I know that neither side will want to lose. I know that neither side will want to give the other bragging rights. So I'm anticipating a big battle here. A really big battle. And these two teams played out an incredible 7-goal classic earlier on in the campaign, where Chelsea won by 4-3. Cole Palmer really stepped up in that game. Hasn't really been seen since, has old Cole Palmer, but if he's fit and he's ready to go in this game, this could be a good way to reintroduce himself to those Chelsea faithful. I'm anticipating Chelsea to win. I think they'll have the quality, and I think that overall they will have the better team on the day to go on and win. I don't know about Tottenham, but again, you don't really know because Chelsea's defence is as poor, so I'm anticipating goals galore. But I think maybe in the final third, Chelsea may have just that little bit extra that Tottenham may lack at times. I'm anticipating a big game. I'm anticipating a fierce game. I'm anticipating a classic rivalry between these two. But it is one that is going to be probably littered with mistakes, littered with maybe some nearly moments. I don't really know what to expect, really. I don't really know what to expect. So that's just what I'm thinking off the top of my head. I'm thinking Chelsea will win, but this game could be anything because at the end of the day, I don't know which two teams are going to turn up here. Is it going to be a scintillating Chelsea performance that is lethal? Or is it going to be riddled with mistakes? Is it going to be the one that played against Arsenal that didn't lay a glove on the Gunners? Or is it going to be a Tottenham performance that is going to be that's going to catch Chelsea out? Is it going to be a little bit different from Spurs that we're not really used to seeing from them, and that's why it's going to change a lot? I don't know. I really don't know. Or is it going to be the same old from Spurs? I'm anticipating goals galore, though. So I'm going 3-2. I'm giving the edge to Chelsea. I think they're the home team. I think they're also a team that has got, obviously, just a want and a hatred for Spurs to actually win this game. So I'm going with Chelsea to win. And finally, what I believe to be the biggest game in this round of fixtures, the main event is coming from Liverpool because it's the Merseyside derby. Liverpool taking on Everton, and if these two teams playing out a 2-2 draw, that was quite controversial, in all honesty, when these two teams met in February, has anything to go by, this could be a very interesting and exciting game in prospect. Liverpool, of course, top of the table. Liverpool, of course, wanting to maintain at the very least the distance between themselves and Arsenal right now. It has been an extremely long international break for those in red. Losing the Carabao Cup final, being knocked out of the Champions League in the same week as well, and then seeing Arsenal close the gap on them. It's been a horrible couple of weeks of just having to sit there and wait. They have also had the news go around about Virgil van Dijk potentially leaving, no closer to resolving seemingly the Mo Salah contract situation as well. And then, of course, the news drops of Trent Alexander-Arnold pretty much agreeing to everything when it comes to him moving to Real Madrid. It's been a long 2 weeks. And the only way to put everything in that's in doubt to bed is by putting in a performance and by putting in a result against your local fierce rivals. Alternatively, though, We know how awkward Everton are. We know how awkward they've been since David Moyes returned to Goodison. And we know that they're going to probably be looking at this Liverpool side as a little vulnerable with what's happened over the course of the past few weeks. Could they be smelling blood here? That's what I'm worried about. I was so close to putting this as a draw. I was so close. But I'm hoping that on a Wednesday night, I'm hoping that with it being a local derby, I'm hoping with it being the Merseyside derby, the fans can get up for it. The fans will give the players that extra little bit of energy that they need, the extra little bit of confidence that they need to get across the finish line. And I'm hoping the players have spent the last couple of weeks, I know it's obviously been international duty and obviously all of that stuff, so I'm hoping that the players have spent the last couple of weeks resting whenever they can, not having that kind of same intense scheduling, that they recovered, because that international break seemed to come at the perfect time for Liverpool. I'm hoping the recovery began then. I'm hoping that things are going to pick back up again, and I'm hoping that Liverpool put any resting doubt to bed and we just get this Premier League title wrapped up. I'm hoping that that is the case, and what a way to start than by beating your fierce rivals. Do I have a lot of confidence? I will be straight and honest with you right now. I'm backing Liverpool to win, but I'm nervous. With everything that's gone off these past few weeks, whether it be on or off the pitch, I am nervous. Everton doesn't strike me as a game that I'm entirely confident with. I am nervous. Even if it is at Anfield, I am nervous, because as we know, that's where most of our slight problems that we've had on the pitch this season have been, at home rather than away from home, which is slightly uncharacteristic like of Liverpool. But I'm hoping we get the job done. I'm hoping we put in a good performance as well to boot. So I'm anticipating and hoping that Liverpool win. But like I say, I'm not massively overly confident that we will do so. But 3 points, just get the title over the finish line and start with a 3-point win. With a win and 3 points over Everton, please. And there you have it. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments section your own opinions and predictions for this week's special edition of Midweek Premier League action as it returns for the run-in. The resumption of the Premier League continues this week. Otherwise, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video / Premier League predictions video. And I will see you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you all again very, very soon.